AdamViolin.com Gear Review.
Hey there, I'm Adam from AdamViolin.com, and I am back here today with you to chat about violin-related gear. I get a lot of comments on these violins on my YouTube channel. These are acoustic violins, but they're also electric, and they are made by David Gage in New York City. The model of these violins are called Realists, as in not fake. They're the real deal. These violins, this particular one is a 5-string acoustic electric violin, and they make a 4-string model too, which I have here. And I will tell you that, as you know, I don't do reviews about gear that I don't like, so obviously I like these instruments or I wouldn't even be talking about them. But I will tell you that I'm just blown away by these violins. I'm also blown away by David Gage and company. Their customer service is fantastic. And you can't buy directly from David Gage as far as I know, but they retail through probably a number of violin shops. I buy mine through the Electric Violin Shop mail order, and they are based in North Carolina. And those guys know just a heck of a lot about electric violins. Now, and I'll say that while they do know a lot about electric violins, I went down there with my dueling fiddlers partner Russell, and we found that they had tons of things for us to try. And when we got to these, we were pretty much sold immediately. So what's so great about a Realist violin? I'm going to stick with the 5-string model right now, just to show you a couple things. If you want to hear what it sounds like, you can watch any number of my videos or Dueling Fiddlers videos on YouTube. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about the tech side of things. So how do these violins work? First of all, totally acoustic. Regular old violin, really high quality, handmade violin, nice varnish, fantastic sound, just a real good feel to the instrument in and of itself. Now, David Gage was absolutely brilliant in the way he created these violins for probably many reasons, but here's the one that sticks out more than anything else. These violins do not feed back when you are performing in a live amplified situation. Now, if you have a really fine old violin like I do, like here's one. It's a great violin. His violin is, 200 years old, and I used to play this violin in amplified situations, and what I had was a microphone that would hook onto the bridge and produce a very, very nice sound, and maybe I'll talk about those mics in a future review if y'all want. But the problem is that microphone doesn't just pick up the violin, it picks up everything. And the violin, on top of that, is designed to reverberate at just the slightest touch. That's what makes it a great violin. So what did David Gage do with this Realist violin that regular violins didn't? He took the time to figure out how to actually dampen certain frequencies by thickening the top plates of the violin so that when you're standing in front of a speaker, for instance, you can definitely hear a little feedback, but it won't go out of control. It won't just become an endless feedback loop, which sounds absolutely terrible. So on top of that, what you get with a lot of electrified instruments is maybe a bridge that has a pickup inside of it, or maybe like a little foot pad underneath the bridge that has a pickup inside of it, or maybe even a band that goes around the violin, again with that pickup inside of it. The problem with that is you're picking up the sound basically then of the strings. And the strings make the noise, right? They make the sound, they send the vibrations to the bridge, and they pick them up. It tends to be kind of a rubber bandy sound, and I just have a really low tolerance for violins that sound kind of twangy and rubber bandy and lifeless. So when I heard this the first time, I was kind of blown away because it has such a warm sound, which gives you just a lot of room to work with. And how did they do that? Well, it's really hard to see, and I'm kind of ashamed at how rosiny my violin is, but right under this foot of the bridge, it sits right on the top of the violin, but right under the bass side foot of the violin, they did a kind of half thickness cut, and they remove that piece of wood and they put in a very fine pickup. Now, usually pickups sound tinny, they sound harsh, but what they did is then they took that piece of wood and kind of sandwiched it back in there, put the bridge back on top, and these Realist violins end up picking up sound from the strings in the bridge, but they also end up picking up sound from the inside of the violin, the air that's being excited by the tone you're making, the kind of the warmth that the wood brings. And you know, these beautiful violins, they use, you know, really fine flamed maple for the back and for the ribs, and, you know, real spruce tops, so they have a really nice warm sound. Now, I don't want to mislead you at all. I don't want you to buy this violin and think I've got the one violin that suits all my needs. I'm going to play Mozart string quartets and I'm going to play Sweet Child of Mine, you know, the rock out with the same violin, and that's just not going to happen, okay? These violins are acoustic, but they're they have a slightly dampened, slightly dull sound compared to a really fine, you know, acoustic only violin. But the benefit here is that you have a really good violin to practice on, to play on. Now, let me show you some, another couple cool things about these. When you turn it over, you see on the back there is a 1/4 inch jack. Now, it is totally integrated into the violin, and then at the same time, it's got a volume knob. This volume knob, that has been both the most wonderful thing in the world and the bane of my existence. A lot of times I'm like, why is my system not working? You know, I check my wireless, I check everything, I check my PA, and I realize my volume knob was down because I was tuning. But at the same time, once you get used to that, that's a pretty incredible thing. I mean, believe me, your audience does not want to hear you tune. And if you're one of those people that gets up and tunes for 5 minutes, please stop it. It's just awful, right? But the cool thing is you can actually tune yourself down without turning off your wireless, without fidgeting with buttons. You got this knob right here. Just turn it down, turn it up. You can hear yourself because it's acoustic. Again, really, really helpful. Now, check this out on the back. You got that 1/4 inch. We have some custom plugs that we've made for ourselves. They go in, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now, get the one with the right angle jack. Don't get the one that sticks out straight. Let me show you what that looks like. So that you have the right angle and the straight. They're both 1/4 inch TS, not TRS, okay? It's a different kind of jack. So neither of these are particularly hard to find. We get these custom made because they're very short and they end up hooking into our wireless system just the way we like it. A lot of people use these longer cables. Now, if you use a 1/4 inch cable, look at that, how it sticks out. And it causes a lot of problems. It ends up, you know, hitting your shoulder, and anytime cables get bumped and you know, jostled when you play, you get a little bit of static, and generally you want to stay away from that. All right, so back to the violin. One of the things I love about this instrument also is that it comes with the fine tuners, right? You got five tuners on these 5-string violins. And you know, when I was a classical guy only, I used, you know, generally you just use your pegs, and that's kind of the way it is. And if you saw a violin with fine tuners on it, you just, you would think it was cheap, or you wouldn't use it. I've never met anybody with fine tuners in a string orchestra. But you know, at the same time, it doesn't really make sense. It used to be that these fine tuners would rattle and do all sorts of weird stuff, but they've gotten to the point now where they don't make any extraneous noise, and I highly recommend them. You can actually get more in tune with the fine tuners, and they come with these. Everything about these violins is first rate, and the cool thing is, if for some reason you got an instrument that wasn't, I can tell you that both the Electric Violin Shop and David Gage Instruments would take incredible care of you. So if you have questions about these violins, please let me know. Again, A+. I cannot give these violins a higher rating. This is what I use all the time when I perform live now, amplified. And really just thrilled with these violins. I can't think of how many times I've been, you know, stuck in an airport on the way to a show, and you know, wanted to get out my fiddle and do a little practicing. And if you have a violin that's, you know, a purely electric violin, you don't have a violin. You've got you know, a little just kind of almost not audible string noise in your ear. It's just no way to practice. So David Gage, 5-string and 4-string Realist violins. Fantastic instruments. Can't say enough good about them. They come each in 2 different models as far as I know. They come in a Pro model and they come in a non-Pro. I don't know what that is. I did ask them, and none of the all the electronics are the same. I think the difference they mentioned was that the non-Pro, the wood used in a non-Pro was maybe kiln dried versus air dried. I think I have that right. Incidentally, the 4-string Realist that I have is that non-Pro version, and frankly I liked the sound of that one better than I liked the Pro. Meanwhile, the 5-string version I have is their Pro model. There's not a huge difference in price. I'm not going to quote you a price on these. I will put a link below to the Electric Violin Shop so that you can check them out, and don't hesitate to give them a call and ask them more technical questions, or post in the comment section below.
Oh, it's down there, right?
If you like these videos, subscribe please, and if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. That's what I'm here for. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.